What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. In today's video, I'm going to go over the PC update to Conan Exiles update 2.2, which came out on January 6th. Now, I'm a couple of days late getting this video out, but it's a good thing in this case and scenario, and I'll explain that here a little bit later on in the video. But first of all, I want to say I'm not going to cover everything that is in these patch notes. There's a lot of good fixes and things in this patch notes, but I'm just going to highlight the things that are probably going to affect your gameplay the most. And to be upfront with you guys, I really struggled with whether to make this video or not. I'll explain that a little bit more towards the end of the video, but I really had a hard time when this patch came out and I went to check it out because of some of the things that made it through Test Live into the live version of the game. One of the quickest things to notice in changes on this is the revamped stamina system. Now, the way that the stamina system worked before was that everything was front loaded. So if you had heavier armor, you would expend more stamina. That's not the way it's going to work going forward. So they rebalanced it to where instead of the heavy armor affecting how much stamina you use, the heavy armor now affects how quickly you regenerate your stamina. And it scales based on your armor as well as the encumbrance or the load that you're carrying. Now, for example, light armor, they say time to regenerate to full stamina with no load is 3 seconds. Time to regenerate to full stamina with light load, 5 seconds, medium load, 7 seconds, heavy load, 9 seconds, and then overload, 18 seconds. And they say that light armor is most affected by over-encumbrance, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, they explain it. They say that 18 seconds if you're overloaded is the amount of time it's going to take to regenerate your stamina in light armor. And medium armor, if you're overloaded, it's going to only take 13 seconds to regenerate your stamina. And then heavy armor, 20 seconds to regenerate your stamina if you're over-encumbered. Now, why they made the decision that medium armor was going to have the fastest regeneration rate if you're over encumbered makes no sense to me. I have no idea why they would do that, but they did. But it makes it really easy for me to say that medium armor is going to be the go-to for an encumbrance build, because you can regenerate your stamina up to 7 seconds faster than if you're wearing heavy armor, and up to 5 seconds faster than if you're wearing light armor. They've also made it so that you cannot dodge if you're over encumbered unless you have the 5th perk in encumbrance. When you have the 5th perk in encumbrance, obviously you can still roll, but if you do not have that 5th perk, once you become over encumbered, you cannot use that dodge. The other big change that you might notice is the shields revamp. Now, the shields revamp, the biggest difference that you're going to notice with this is that you actually can regenerate your stamina while you're blocking. However, the shield revamp does change an awful lot with shields because you can also lose stamina when you're attacked. So real quick, the big notes here are when an attacker hits a blocking character or when a defender blocks an attack with a shield, they may enter a rebound state. Blocked attacks now deal stamina damage equal to their base health damage. Whenever a shield blocks an attack, it loses durability. If a shield loses all of its durability as a result of an attack, the defender may enter a shield break stun state. Now, I am going to have videos covering all of this in the future and breaking down and analyzing these different things, but I'm going to give you a pro tip right now. Whatever you do, do not run out of stamina blocking an attack. They increased the invincibility frames on dodges from 0.2 seconds to 0.4 seconds. I don't think you're going to notice that in your gameplay. It's not going to be a huge enough change for you to really notice a difference. Herbal tea and honeyed wine now provide a slight amount of healing. It's basically 5 points of healing over an amount of time. I think it's about 3 seconds, but it's a total of 5 points of healing. They also fixed the issue with the flattening shot accuracy perk, where it will actually do the intended amount of damage. It does not do less damage than if you don't have that perk anymore. So that's a really good fix. I know a lot of people have been waiting for that for quite some time. Moving on, they fixed the issues where a lot of the NPCs or a lot of the thralls would not go in dungeons or become unresponsive in dungeons. That should be fixed. The pathing should be fixed, so you should be able to now take your thrall into any of the dungeons without issue. Another big ticket item on here is the rebalance of Yogg's Touch. This is intended to bring Yogg's Touch to a point where it offers a unique gameplay style for a one-handed axe user without being completely overpowered compared to the other one-handed axes in its class. Health damage has been changed to 51 and armor penetration has been changed to 28. If you didn't see the video where I told you to go out and farm that and augment it with the master weapon fitting, you've now missed out. If you're on console, you still actually can go and do that because this patch hasn't come to console yet. So go out, get yourself Yogg's Touch, put the master weapon fitting on it, and you will have a very powerful weapon once this patch comes out. They have this line in here about slightly lowered the stats for ancient weapons. I still have no idea what that means. What are the ancient weapons? Which ones are they? And what stats were lowered? But there you go. It's in there, the slightly lowered stats for ancient weapons. Now, I mentioned earlier that it was a good thing that I waited a couple of days to do this video because there was an update to the patch notes about the oil of penetration and the spiked weapon fitting. Now, this was reported during test live that both the oil of penetration and the spiked weapon fitting had their penetration values lowered by 5%. It was responded to in kind with the normal thank you for reporting it, and we'll send it on to our team to figure out whether or not this is an intended change or not. Well, it made it through the test live to the live, and then a couple of days after the patch notes came out, it was then confirmed that this was an intended feature. So if you're looking at your spiked weapon fitting and your oil of penetration, they now have 5% less increased penetration than they did before. The last thing that I'm going to cover that's in the patch notes is the fact that you can no longer interrupt your healing wraps until you've reached 2.5 seconds into the animation. They're doing this basically because they want you to commit to the healing wraps, but they also want to give you a way out if you make a poor decision. And they say they're going to continue to test and iterate on this particular thing, so likely to see that change in the future. So let's talk about what's not in the patch notes that has been changed. So when this was on test live, I made a big stink about a bunch of weapons that have been nerfed and the fact that thralls were losing durability on the weapon that they were using. Now, when I did that video, I was very direct and probably rude towards Funcom about those changes because I saw them as stealth nerfs. Now, that was met with some jabs back from Funcom, and basically they said that anything that's not in the patch notes is an unintended change and should be treated like a bug. So back in December, I made 19 separate undocumented change reports to the forums. Of those 19 undocumented change reports, I got 4 responses from Funcom, and only one of those responses that I got from Funcom actually said whether it was an intended change or an unintended change. And that report happened to be about the Acheronian weapons, and in that case, it was an unintended change. Now, I'm happy to report that the Acheronian weapons were fixed prior to this patch going to live, so that's a good thing. The other 3 responses that I received were the standard, thank you for reporting this, we'll relay it to our team so they can look into it and see if it's intended. The other 15 are just simply closed at this point. If you don't know, if nobody responds to your post within 7 days, it's automatically closed. Now, all that said, about a quarter of the weapons that I reported in December were fixed. The other 3/4 of these weapons did make it through test live and into the live version of the game. So the weapons that have not been addressed by Funcom at all are the Hooked Sword, Tellus Sorrow, Ancient Khopesh, all of the Dragon Bone weapons, the Hammer of Thag, the Scythe of Thag, the Mace of Thag, the Pristine Kahari Bow, the Brutish Daggers, the Black Ice Broadsword, and the Black Ice Longsword. And you know what, guys? I'm not even mad. I'm not going to rage out and call them out for stealth nerfs or any of that stuff. You know what I am, guys? I'm completely disheartened by this. I'm disheartened because we had this big blow up and a lot of good came out of that blow up. At least in December, there was a lot of things that were exchanged, comments about, hey, we're going to be more open, we're going to have better patch notes, we're going to do this and that. And I spent a lot of time making sure that that all of the information that I found in my videos were posted on the forums. Now, that is not something that I regularly do. And the reason why I don't regularly do that is because I don't really see the point. Like I said earlier on, I made 19 different posts in December. Only 4 of those posts received a response. 15 of those posts just went totally unanswered. So honestly, I kind of feel like I wasted a whole bunch of time dropping all those reports. Now, I will say some of the reports that I dropped on there, I did not expect to get responses back to, because even though they were undocumented changes, they were good for the game. They were positive, and that would be things like the 50 new thralls being added to the exiled lands, or the fact that they fixed the spawn for the white rhino. These are things that were undocumented changes that I just wanted to throw out there to say, hey, you guys do put undocumented changes through the game on a regular basis. And I think it's important for me to say it for those that aren't clear. I was being completely sarcastic with those particular posts, but I wanted to make my point that stealth changes do happen to Conan Exiles. And even the patch notes that were posted this week are perfect proof that stealth changes do happen to Conan Exiles, because if it wasn't for somebody bringing up the fact that the spiked weapon fitting and the oil of penetration had dropped 5%, the patch notes would not have been changed, and they shouldn't have had to been changed in the first place. Now, I'm pretty confident in saying that the response to these weapons slipping through the cracks or being accidentally missed, whatever they want to say, is going to be quite complacent. However, I am going to say this is a stealth nerf, and I don't care what the reason is. It's a stealth nerf. If you were playing the game on the 5th of January, you went into the wine cellar dungeon, you fought Thag, and you got a hammer of Thag. That weapon would have 65 damage, 31 armor pen, and 2400 durability. If you did the exact same thing after the patch came out on the 6th, you would get the same weapon with 65 damage, 26% armor pen, and 2080 durability. And I could go on through this list, but I'm not going to do that. The fact is, these were all reported in test live. They made it to the live version of the game. It wasn't documented in the patch notes. It may be documented in the patch notes come Monday after Funcom watches this video. Who knows? I really don't care. Like I said, I've kind of lost the fight here, guys. I kind of just want to give up. I'm disheartened by the fact that after everything, after the turmoil of going through what we all went through in December, we come to January, we come to the live patch, and we're still dealing with this same problem. And that's it. I'm going to stop there, because if I don't stop there, I'm just going to continue to ramble and say the same thing and probably dig myself a deeper and deeper hole. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'll catch you next time. Peace. The whack moments in this video were sponsored by my legendary supporters. Thank you very much. If you'd like to sponsor a future whack moment, you can click the button below that says join. That'll give you all the details. I'd like to thank all my subscribers for their continued support, likes, comments, and general awesomeness. If you're not subscribed, you can start your free trial today and cancel at any time. And if you're not finished watching, there's 2 videos to pick from.